Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my power ranking series. We might have a little surprise here as they had a bit of a better offseason, but for my number 28 team, we're going to be looking at the Carolina Panthers. Let's get to it. All right, lots of new pieces here for the Panthers. First off, Iquanu, drafted number one for the Panthers at pick 6. So he's a first round talent. I do believe that is a appropriate value for him. He's a great athlete. He's got insane get off. He's gonna be looking to look very good in these zone looks, and he just seals out defenders. Like the range he has to like from the tackle go to the four tech, like a 4-eye guy, and seal him off is it's unworldly. So, he does have some knocks though. He lacks refinement and pass protection, and he really likes to overreach and be overly aggressive as a tackle. And that's gonna need to be coached out because they're gonna attack him on that. So I mean, it's not helping your pass protection much, but he should help your run game a good bit. You still have Irving here as a backup level tackle, and he can also be a swing tackle for this group. So at least he is here. There is Brady Christensen at left guard. I didn't like him a whole lot there. I liked him more at tackle despite his length. But we'll see if he looks more comfortable this season starting there again. He's a good enough athlete, and if the zone idea, which from what they've done signings of, it seems like they want to go very heavy on zone. He's a good enough athlete that he can do that. Although there is one exception to that. Bozeman. He's a big boy. He got him for the Ravens. Very just hard-nosed power scheme guy, which is why I'm not really sure he fits this zone run scheme that they have seemingly planned for with all this other money they've thrown at all these other positions on the line. It's just kind of weird again. It's kind of the theme with some of these teams. They've made weird choices. At least some of them have. The ones down here. So I don't know. I don't know if you'll really fit the zone run scheme that they plan on, but just keep an eye on it. See what they do. They went and grabbed Corbett from the Rams. That is a great grab for this scheme. He'll help keep this interior solid for a long time. Coming off that Super Bowl win with the Rams, it's good. Like literally, I was so happy when they made that move. I'm like, yes, that's the guy you throw the money at. You don't throw that money at. I can't remember the guy's name they grabbed from the Jets. I'm pretty sure he's still there. Pat Elflein. There you go. I remembered. Like you don't throw that money at Pat Elflein. You throw that money at Austin Corbett. That's who you throw the money at. See, that was a much better selection. He'll be a solid starter for years to come. He'll shore up the middle of the line. He'll get active in this very zone and shift heavy offense that I believe that they're looking to do. So I like that move. Very good. You still got Taylor Moton here. Great offensive tackle. I'm not sure I can give him the star yet, but I mean, he's on the track. I mean, he's a great athlete, very solidly built. I'm glad they kept him at right tackle. I always prefer to keep guys at the side that they're most comfortable at, and he clearly is most comfortable at right tackle. Uh, I I mean I'm pretty confident that he can be there for the long haul, and he'll be a big part in uh, whether or not you'll have success from your young quarterback, whoever that may be. We'll talk about that in a second. So Taylor Moton, I'm glad that they were able to figure that out and give him a big extension, and he'll be there for the long haul. Now for quarterbacks, we've got it's a weird group. There is Walker here. I didn't put him up because I think after the Corral selection, I think he's kind of been pushed out of the limelight. So just do note PJ Walker is here. But let's actually talk to the two guys I put on here. Darnold. He's just here because the Panthers, honestly, I think can't get rid of him. I think if they would shed that cap, or if they could shed that cap, they would. It's 18.5 mil. It's why I think they jumped out of the Baker Mayfield sweepstakes, or whatever you want to call them. They just, yeah, it just was not their thing. They got out of that. They didn't want to deal with that anymore. So I think for most teams, I think the Sam Darnold experiment is done. Even though he's still so young, I find it really hard that a team will buy in and try to bring him in and see if they can do anything. He's really here to kind of take the brunt of just punishment while Corral has a little bit of time to develop. I think that's really just what the idea is here. Corral's a decent prospect. He's got a strong arm with mobility. He is coming off injury. Do keep that in note. the biggest knock I had on him was he had moments of just poor reading on defenses that just will make you scratch your head. Like he'll make three insane plays in a row, just buying time, fitting the ball in a tight window, and then he'll take a snap and there'll be like a quick little curl route that is smothered by like two or three defenders, and he'll still throw it right at them. They're all just staring at him. I don't get it. I don't get what that one was coming from. That's gonna have to be coached out, and that's the biggest weed for them to pull. So I hope this Carolina team is prepared to do that because they're gonna need to. That's his biggest thing. All right, I'm honestly not gonna talk much about this group because there really is no change here from last year. So I really don't expect much production difference unless McCaffrey can actually stay healthy for once. You know, he's the best receiving back in the league. I think that's very safe to say. He just needs to be able to play a whole season. Moore, still a very good number one guy. He did get the star for me as well. I really like DJ Moore. I think he's developed into his own here. I would be actually looking to pay DJ Moore sooner rather than later with how insane this is getting. Anderson, I don't know why they gave him the extension, but they did. He had a down year after he had his up year, and he's still got 2 more years of him now, or I think at least two more, maybe in three. Regardless, you're hoping he can have another up year again and be productive. He's mostly used as a deep threat. He's not overly big either, so he's not like he's really a possession guy at that height. He's more of a stretch the field type player, but I wouldn't expect much. Terrace Marshall is here, kind of a big slot. At least that's what he was used at LSU. Eh, again, it's hope is what you're hoping for. Like I don't have much I can say other than you're looking to see if he can take the next step, and if he doesn't, well, you're in for another year of him not really doing much. So we'll see what they can do. Tight end room, very rough. I don't know why they gave Ian Thomas a 3-year contract. Yet another confusing move by one of these teams. That Ian Thomas is almost a we're gonna give you a 1 year, very low, salary deal kind of player. There's like you got to prove it to us. How and why the Panthers keep doing this with players, I do not understand. I mentioned another player earlier in Elfline that they did this to. They seem to love doing this, and I don't understand it. This is how you rope yourself into poor ideas with getting guys who should not be on your roster, yet you don't want to cut because you gave them a multi-year deal with a bunch of bonus. They take spots from other players who are more talented. It frustrates me seeing a team do this. So he's stuck here. He's not even listed as their starter, honestly. They actually have an H-back listed as their starter in Tommy Tremble, who, good athlete, you know, especially if you're doing the zone scheme. I imagine you can kind of get him in motion a bunch, kind of where he gets a build-up of speed, get the ball in his hand, might be able to beat some linebackers to the edge. We'll see. But again, he's an H-back. He's mostly used as a blocker in motion. So I don't know what was happening here when they were making choices, but at least here after they got, they did make two good choices with the quarterback and left tackle. For the actual skill positions, I don't know what in Lord's name they were doing. It really no improvements. All right, defensive front seven. Again, not too much to change here from the previous front seven, but I like some of the pieces here. Brian Burns, pass rushing fiend, and he's an up and coming star. They're just honest. If I'm being be bold here, he's got moments that remind me of Von Miller. It's like eerily similar in some rushing sets. This might be the year he establishes himself as one of those best edges in the league. I'd keep a lookout for him. I would not be surprised if this is the year. They got Derek Brown here. Was a very high pick. Was kind of an early selection, but they kind of were in a new regime. They wanted to pick a very safe player. Derek Brown is a pretty good player. He's mostly a dominant run defender that has some ability to rush the passer. You're hoping he can develop, but again, if I'm going to be quite honest here, I don't see Derek Brown adding that to his repertoire anytime soon. I think he's going to be a very like his career is going to be a very dominant run defender with occasionally can rush the passer and push pocket. Like that's I think is what his career trajectory is going to pan out to be, which is totally fine. That's totally fine for this team because you need guys like that, and he has value. I think he is a very dominant run defender, or projects to be one. I think he proved it pretty well in his rookie year. Was just a kind of a good player last year. The Panthers overall last year were kind of just a weird down team, but I do like Derek Brown. I think he could be a pretty good starter for the future as well, especially on early downs. Davion Nixon is just a note guy here. I know a lot of teams really love him, so I'll just put him here as depth and just say keep a note on him. You might see him, you might not, but just for note, I know teams love him. But for an actually notable IDL, um, Matthew Ioannidis was brought in from the Washington football team, or now Washington Commanders. He is much more the pass rush specialist that Derek Brown is not. He's average to below average in run defense, but if you get him one-on-one in a pass rush situation, that's where he thrives. So I imagine they're going to line him at a 3 or 4 tech often, just to try and match him up with guards, or maybe occasionally do a stunt where he gets to bully a tackle. Like they'll be using him somewhere creative like that. Yetur Gross-Matos. This is a shut up or show up kind of year. It's time to show that he can play. He is now uncontested. Hassan Reddick is gone. He's a very powerful edge from Penn State as a prospect. So it is more than time to see what you have here. I don't have anything to say because he was rotated so heavily and really kind of buried. So I don't really have much of a criticism or an elevation here to talk about. It's just time to see whether you have something in him or not. Linebackers here, all of them are basically replaceable level starters, except for Shaq Thompson. There is a rookie here, Brandon Smith. I'm not big on him. I don't like him overly much. But at least you're going to have him some time. He can develop and learn from Shaq Thompson. Thompson's a very solid starter. He defends the run well. His biggest thing, and showed in his rookie year, he is excellent field and coverage. I like what he does a lot there. So at the very least, you're going to have him help cover the middle, which should help defend it, where most teams like to get attacked. I think him with Chin, who I imagine is going to be coming down a lot to the box to help out, should help a lot with a lot of this coverage looks coming from the middle. So at least you have that. Corey Littleton here is meant to cover as well, but again, I don't think he's a great talent at this point in his career. He kind of broke out with the Rams, got paid, and it just wasn't the same after. All right, defensive backs. Nice thing about this group is that all three starting cornerbacks could reasonably play the slot, which is a benefit to what this defense can do because you can move guys all around. You can have guys follow guys and other guys not. It's super versatile, and I think that's very awesome for this very young defense. So you got J.C. Horn. Horn's coming off an injury. I expect he bounces back strong. I mean, I really like Horn. Horn was not my favorite prospect in that draft. I had Surtain over him, but I know a lot of guys I respect that did have Horn above. He's a very tried and true tested corner as a prospect, and he showed some really good things before his injury. So I think you're at least happy to have him back. I think he'll take a starting role somewhere. Don Jackson, I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did on the market. Panthers got him to return to them for a long term for a very fair deal. So at least you got that. He's very comfortable in this scheme. I think he'll continue to thrive. They got C.J. Henderson from the Jags for a third-round pick, which is exceptionally good value. They gave up on him, and you basically are paying him nothing for 3 years. Plus, you have fifth year, or no, 2 more years. Plus, you got a fifth-year option on him if he does break out. Awesome. All these corners are young and fast and have shown track of talent as prospects and have shown development traits already. Like this is a very awesome thing the Panthers were able to do. Uh, at the very least, if things don't work out, oh well, you got cheap depth talent. Besides Dante Jackson, you are paying him, but he's already kind of proven himself. But I like the crew that you got here. I really do. You brought in Xavier Woods. He did a quick stint in Minnesota. He's a very solid special teamer. I liked him there a lot. He can play this hybrid safety role at a starter, level capability, or at least I think a little bit above replacement level starter. I think low level starter is what I'd probably rank it. So he's a lot better than what they had before. I think you should be happy you brought him in here. He's not even that old either. I think he's 27 now. So I think he was a good decision for them to bring in. And of course, you got one of the more fun players in Jeremy Chin. Very very good athlete. Plays tough in the box. Just an utter fan favorite, and you can see why. I know a lot of people are going to be expecting him to take a leap this season. I actually wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't, if he kind of just plays exactly like he has last couple of seasons at strong safety again. I don't think that's honestly a bad thing at all. He's just a very solidly good player that's also cheap and young at that spot. And that kind of symbolizes this entire defense. This entire secondary is all just young and very cheap secondary that's just very solid. Like I think they're gonna make mistakes because they're so young. But even on top of that, their athletics can make up for some of the things that they don't know or don't have refined already. So there's benefit to having them this young. And I think for a rebuilding team, this is almost about as picture perfect as you can have it. All right. We got another star pickup here at punter for the Panthers after the Rams had to let Johnny Hecker go due to some cap issue, right? They had to fill out the team again after coming off that Super Bowl win. The Panthers just scooped him up, and I think that's a pretty good idea. He's still got some stuff left in the tank. He should help them gain or maintain some field position. So I think honestly picking him up, I think that was a great idea for them. They also have Zane Gonzalez here. He's come a long way in these last few seasons from where he started. I think you could do a lot worse having him as your kicker. I think their special teams project to be very solid this year. I will give them that. For coordinators, it's very much the same crew, so no real changes. Although there was one change I mentioned, I think in another video, where they changed from Joe Brady to Ben McAdoo, and this one confuses me. I do not see Ben McAdoo elevating this offense really. And I think Joe Brady at least had the potential to do so. I mean, especially with his youth, Joe Brady projected to be, you know, the look of another one of these super young head coaches. But from what I can tell and what I've heard, there were some disagreements between him and I don't know if it was front office or coaching, but there's some different disagreements in what they should be doing. So I think that's kind of what got him booted. But to then bring in Ben McAdoo is a little puzzling to me. That's not the move I would be doing. So we'll see what happens here. We'll see if McAdoo could kind of have a resurgence here. It puzzles me that's the way they went. So overall, it's kind of a make or break time for Matt Rule, who's the head coach here. It's been a few years now that he's been in this rebuild. He's had some solid moves in his first season, and this offseason as well in particular. Last offseason though was I don't know, I think that set them back. They made puzzling moves and didn't help their team overly much. And as I to the point I think they actually set themselves back a little bit. I mentioned this a couple times. They've got a habit of giving these longer term deals to players who only warrant 1 year prove it deals or just no deals at all. I don't know why they do it, and it's never worked out. They've done it a couple times and it's literally never worked out. So I don't know what they're doing. So hopefully they iron that out in their front office if they really want to preserve the talent they do have, because they're going to need the cap space or try to acquire more talent. That cap space is going to be needed. So I'm hoping they iron out that habit because it's going to bite them eventually. Okay, so Carolina overarching view here. Still a bunch of holes. Quarterback is still kind of a mess. They've got money invested in spots that I just don't know why. It's confused me and a bunch of our analysts. Uh, they've got they've got some young talent. They've got talent they're locked into that is not overly strong or is I think regressing. So it's kind of what for me edged them into this group rather than the other group. I just I don't feel overly confident that they can get back to that form, that kind of edge they had in their first season. Now that we're multiple seasons down the road, it feels like they're kind of just back into a we'll wait and see what kind of happens type of thing. We'll see. We'll see. The Carolina Panthers, I would not be surprised if they're able to edge themselves up one tier category, but my hope for them is not overly high. So with that being said, we've officially finished the teams I have as a multi-year rebuild team. It's time for us to move on to the next section that I'm going to be calling the reloading teams, which are teams I think that are either ready to get back into the fray sooner rather than later, or are teams that are on the brink of falling apart down into that multi-year rebuild area. We'll talk about a couple of them while we're in there. There's some fun teams in there as well that I think have a lot to prove. So that being said, thank you all for tuning in. I hope to see you for more of these videos in the future. Take care. Later.